hell of a, she's so fine. Hell of a, blows my mind. Hell of a, lights my day.
Good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday, August the 18th, I believe. Yeah, 2020. And there seems to be just a tiny bit of confusion in regards to photo lineups. All right, we're going to iron this out here. So, in regards specifically to this liquor store in the Kenneka Jenkins case, where the Rosemont Police Department brought in 2 outside police agencies to act as independent administrators of these photo lineups, okay? Now, I don't know if some of you all know or not, but I do have a degree in criminal justice, which I always say is an oxymoron because criminal justice is really not a thing. But we're going to go over something here of what really happened so that everybody's informed. And I just figured the best place to take this was from the legal encyclopedia. I could also refer back to my textbooks if I needed to. Regardless, face-to-face eyewitness identification. Show-ups. Show-ups bring suspects and witnesses or victims of a crime together in face-to-face meetings. This is wrote by Micah Schwartzbach, attorney. It says a show-up, like a lineup, is a form of eyewitness identification. At a show-up, a witness or victim is normally confronted with only one person rather than a group of people. And whereas lineups almost always take place in police stations, show-ups may occur in a station or in the field, even at the crime scene. A crime scene show-up is especially likely when the police capture a suspect shortly after a crime has occurred. Now, if we go back to these statements by the night manager at the liquor store and the security guard at the liquor store, one was done at the station. Actually, the night manager was done at home, and he had put the word out to the security guy that, hey, they just came and interviewed me. They really want to talk to you too. So he went to the station. So that's all the way together. Now, 1 for 2. Using both a show-up and a lineup. It's possible that the police will require a suspect to participate in both a show-up and a lineup. They might, for instance, conduct the initial show-up, then arrange for a lineup after the filing of charges. At least theoretically, the lineup can substantiate the show-up identification and provide a basis to determine whether additional witnesses can also identify the suspect as the perpetrator. Are show-ups proven to be reliable? And I believe that was what was said, and I'm going back to my comments. I don't know, I feel like some people just want to push my buttons. I don't know, but anywho, like I know what I'm talking about when I talk about this stuff. I'm not just spouting stuff out of the side of my neck. I've typed a lot of witness statements. And I'll just be really specific. I've typed a lot of Las Vegas witness statements, okay? I did probably 6 months of just straight up Las Vegas work for a company that does transcription of legal and police stuff. Not one time, not once, did the LVPD ever bring in another agency to do a statement. Not one time. That's what's real, okay? Now, I know I live in little Podunk, Kentucky, and we certainly don't do it here. So, that's taking a very large city versus that has a lot of crime, mind you, and a very small city, and I've never heard of it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that is not the usual practice. And that is why it specifically stood out to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even brought it up. Alright. Are show-ups proven to be reliable? Show-ups often take place soon after a crime, meaning that memory is less of a problem. But on the other hand, witnesses may still be under great stress when the police return soon after a crime with a suspect in tow. And nothing, short of telling the witness who committed the crime, could be more suggestive than presenting a single, in-custody person for identification. Further, regardless of what police officers say, an unsure witness might feel pressure to point the finger at the person on display. In a 2017 report, Cal State Los Angeles detailed the results of testing regarding the reliability of show-up identifications. In what was reported as a first-of-its-kind experiment, witnesses were led to believe that they were part of an actual police investigation, and that their identification would result in the arrest of a suspect. The study had several findings, including the following. Where officers didn't give a proper admonishment, in essence, advising the witness not to assume the suspect committed the crime, the false identification rate was, quote, exceedingly high, end quote. Where witnesses were exposed to information suggesting the police thought they had the right suspect. For example, overhearing a loud radio dispatch call that an officer had nabbed the perpetrator. False identification occurred approximately 50% of the time. That's coin flip territory. In essence, the study concluded that show-ups are tremendously unreliable. And that's what they did to the gentleman in the field. They did a show-up. He was at home. They immediately called the other agency, who immediately sent somebody over there, and they all hung around while this happened. Now, come on with the jokes. Different criteria. Despite the general unreliability, show-up identifications can be admitted into evidence in criminal trials. They can be admitted even though the U.S. Supreme Court long ago said, quote, the practice of showing suspects singly to persons for the purpose of identification and not as part of a lineup has been widely condemned, end quote. And that happened in Stovall versus Deno, 388 U.S. 293 in 1967. Lots of factors are relevant in determining whether a show-up was too suggestive, including whether officers made statements suggesting to the witness that the suspect committed the crime, and whether the police brought witnesses to view the suspect at the same time. On the other hand, courts have held that the mere fact that a suspect is handcuffed during the show-up doesn't mean that the procedure was improper. We're not talking about that kind of a show-up. But what we are talking about here is, I find it just ironic that of all of the BS stuff that the Rosemont Police Department pulled in this investigation on this case, that they decided to, at this point, and in regards to the liquor store, to do the right thing. See what I'm saying? They were really trying to be transparent and bring in another agency so that they didn't look like they were coaching the witnesses or anything of that nature. Come on. Like, come on with the jokes for real. So I never said anything about the police trying to coerce anybody into saying anything. That is not what I said. I just simply question why they went through all that trouble in regards to whether these girls were in a liquor store when they didn't even go to this much trouble in the actual death investigation itself. And if you can't understand that, then I'm really sorry. But I see it just plain as day, black and white. All the things that they did wrong in their investigation. But they pull out all the stops on this Franklin Food and Liquor regarding the girls being in the liquor store. Look, it doesn't take a white coat to figure out what's going on here. It really doesn't. But, yeah, they did a show up on one guy, and the other guy went down there to identify, or not identify, rather, any of the people in the lineup. So, and also, I do question the fact that they say they signed somebody's name for them. Yeah, I have a big problem with that. Because a police officer should not be signing someone's name to anything. Period. That's not the way that works. I've seen documents FedExed, and I saw a comment saying the same thing. I've seen that plenty of times. Where if someone forgets to sign something, or if it's locally, they'll take it. Or have someone else take it and get a signature. But I've seen documents FedExed. I've seen documents prioritied just to get that signature. So I find it funny that someone felt comfortable enough, this independent agent felt comfortable enough to come in and do this and then sign someone else's name to it. So yeah, that really made me scratch my head. That's a problem. That is a huge problem. Because if you'll sign it to that form, what else will you sign it to? That's the argument in that case, obviously. If you'll sign it to a lineup, piece of paper regarding a lineup, even though he didn't identify anybody, if you will sign it to that paper, you will sign it to anything. Because that is not the way that should go. So, I don't know what happens in Skokie or Park Ridge or Rosemont, but that's not how the real world functions. That's not an office that's operating with a lot of integrity, because that just doesn't work like that. And also, the recording of this interview, we have nothing on that. So, I'd like to see it, or hear it, at the very least. So I'm not just pulling stuff out of my ass. Like, I genuinely know what I'm talking about. And you can question me all day on it. I'm fine. I don't have a problem with defending why I said what I said. But I did say what I said for a reason. So I just wanted to kind of get a little clear on that one was actually a show up. And that's what those are called. When you're out in the field and you do something like that, that is a show up. And it doesn't have to be a criminal case for that to happen. So, I hope you guys have a great day. I should have a really good video for you guys. I don't know, good, if it's good. But it's going to be interesting anyways to see it laid out this way. And I hope everybody has a great start to their Tuesday. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I also wanted to add one thing to the back of this video. I was also questioned regarding where it even came out about this bottle that Irene had. Irene said that, and I actually showed that in my video. Irene said that she didn't remember what size it was. It was the one with the handle on it. So that's why that even came up. And I thought I had showed that. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I didn't show it good enough or something. But regardless, you guys have a great day.